Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for HBAR. If you've been wondering where I've been, I am currently traveling and I got locked out of my YouTube and Twitter accounts. Finally got them re-up and running. So I've been active in the Discord, but I haven't been able to access YouTube or Twitter. So if you're interested in the membership, I do have a special promotion just for the week, for Boxing Week, and I'll give you those details at the end of the video. If you're new to Elliott Wave theory, note that these are not calls, as in I am not predicting this is going to happen. This is the bullish scenario I see playing out if we follow that path. Elliott Wave gives us early indications to switch our bias to short and long when potential areas do not follow as expected in the bullish scenario. So that being said, last time we concluded we were near the top of this correction as a potential 1-2-1-2. The count has slightly changed, and I'll explain that in this video. Now, the absolute most bullish scenario, again, not saying this is going to happen, just to be clear, is if we just take our length of wave 1 off of our wave 2, and we have potential 2 nested 1-2s here. Our third wave in white would come to 28.99. That is our standard pull from our wave 1 off of our 2 for a bull market for our third wave, in which case we'd get a larger fourth wave after and a fifth, up to very extreme prices. I am not calling this to happen. I'm just saying this is possible. That's all I'm saying. So we're going to go to the smaller time frames and talk about the bottoming pattern here, which is the start of our third wave, in which case we should be looking for 5 waves to the upside. Now, one of my biases here is that we're working on linear scale. Let me go back to the weekly here. That's our log scale targets. Our linear scale targets for our third wave, which is much different, is that we get our third wave here in blue. I'll have to repull those once that happens, but is around 95 cents. And then we top in or around just above $1.16 to $1.30. This is what it would look like on linear scale. As you can see, those targets are much different. And this is why we readjust as we go based on which targets we hit and the amount of waves up into those targets. So just realize we're looking for a 5-wave move, and obviously the range is very, very wide. So we'll go down to the smaller time frames. So I believe last video I had this as a 1-2-1-2, which is still technically possible, but because of the amount of time that has passed here, it seems more likely to be a 1-2 in itself. I did a recount on there, and it works just fine. We just got an extended 5th wave to the upside, in which case we'd be looking for this wave 2 to complete and looking for a 3rd wave in green to our extended target zone. Now, our extended target zone is here taken from this beginning of wave 1 off of wave 2 of one larger degree, and we're looking for the eventual 2.618 extension here up around 299 for our 3rd wave in blue. Now, I understand these can be very confusing, which is why I provided the Discord to begin with, but we'll go down to the smaller time frames and realize the setup that we're looking for is just a 1 and 2 of a lesser degree. We're talking about these, what look very extreme over a month or more period, right? Each one of these corrections. They look very small on the weekly, but day to day, they can seem very extreme. Now, there is a scenario where we are within a 4th wave here, and we drift sideways, perhaps make a triangle. It would be relabeled like this, in which case this would be our 3rd wave, which within this blue degree. But as soon as we overlap at 18,171, this is no longer valid because wave 4 can't overlap with wave 1 in an impulse. And if we look at the time that has passed between wave 1 and this labeled as wave 3, it seems like a lesser degree. And the fact we would be looking for a 1-to-1 in time in that scenario for wave 4 to be longer than wave 2, or if we just throw on our time guidelines, this would drift sideways and hold above 18.17 up until like summertime, which seems very unlikely. For all these reasons, we did not hit a 1.618 extension 2 for our third wave, which is a common target. For all these reasons, we have this labeled as a 1 and 2 of a lesser degree. Now we'll go to these smaller time frames, and I'll show you how on linear scale here we can reach this 1.618 at around 95 cents for this third wave in white. Sorry, everything gets extreme out on log scale. So we're going to go over to my Blowfin account, which is where I'm tracking this. Just went deep into it today with the members here. Oh, sorry, that's my Bitcoin. You get a free little look at that. But originally I had this as a 1, 2, 1, 2. The alternative count was this was a triangle fourth, and we got an extended fifth wave. That was the only difference between those two counts. And if we look at our extension targets, wave 1 through 3 off of wave 4, we came just between the 618 and the 1-to-1 extension, which is a reasonable spot for that. That's also where we look for those nested 1-2s between the 618 and the 1-to-1 extension if this was a 5-wave move. But because of the length and time here, it doesn't have the right look. We would expect if this was a 1-2, 1-2, it to pivot from this zone and be smaller in time than the previous 1-2. And all I mean by that is if this was a 1-2, 1-2, we would expect to pivot in a less amount of time. So because of those guidelines, we anticipate that this is actually a 1-2 in itself. So we were tracking this out within the Discord. We've had this mapped out for at least a week or two here and have this as a 3-wave move W. I just opened up to short up at this high here, had this as a WXY for our X wave, and looking for a 3-wave move down to the downside. And what we're looking for is this is just a combination as a WXY, and I'm looking for a long around 20 cents to start our third wave. Now, if we go on linear scale, that 20 cent mark that was on log scale brings us right between the 50 and the 618 of this entire move to the upside to complete our wave 2. Now, there are different ways we can recover from here and make a different corrective pattern. And what that would entail is this would end up being a wave as a diagonal. It's hard to tell the difference between diagonals and WXYs as wave A's or WXYs in themselves. So that can be an A wave. We have a 3 and a 3. We can get a 5-wave move down here, and this creates a flat ABC. And we can actually pivot from here and make a 5-wave move to the upside, where this becomes just a zigzag ABC, which creates a B wave in a much larger flat ABC. So this is how we trend sideways correctively. It's a lot of overlap, very difficult to trade, which is why I always suggest to people in my membership to trade on the extreme ends of the corrections. Because within these corrections, more so wave 4s than wave 2s, you can get a lot of patterns morphing as either flats, triangles, combinations, etc. So it's very important to track as we go. So my trade setup today was a short from below this wave 1, and I'm targeting that 20 cents right now, that 1-to-1 extension, where Y equals W at around 20.01 cents. So that's my trade setup currently. And if something changes, for example, if we get a 5-wave move down here, remember that can be an ABC as a flat, and we get a connecting wave right here. I'm going to be paying very close attention how we make this next move to the upside. Is it a 3-wave overlap as a B wave? Or do we get something more extreme like a 5-wave move? In which case, I would most likely get stopped out in profit or break even, and I would flip long very quickly based on the price action in this area. You're not going to know until that price action fills out to give you a probability one way or the other. Now, one thing I noted is how can we make a third wave on the larger time frames to hit target. This is a rough target right now as we do not have a pivot low in, and we go to our linear scale. And if we hit that 1-to-1, our next target for our third wave is a 1-2 is up there at that -1. You can see that's our 1.618 extension. Using the -1 is an algo target, and it's roughly, if we finish between the 50 and the 618, a 1.618 extension is usually pretty close to that. So that gets us to 74 cents for our third wave. Within this sequence here, we then expect a fourth and a fifth wave to the upside. So if I go back, I'll show you in 1 second. So if I go back to our Binance chart and take the largest degree wave 1 and 2 on linear scale, that's where this third wave that was on Blowfin would end up getting our third in green here around that 73, 74 cent mark. Then look for our fifth wave up between 81 and 95 cents, and eventually our fifth wave around that 95 cent zone, which creates our 1.618 extension on linear scale of this wave 3 versus this wave 1 on our largest degree, in which case we'd be looking for our fourth and our fifth eventually. But you can see everything's lining up to that right now, which seems ideal, that sometime midsummer we get up to that around the $1 mark. We then get our fourth and fifth up to the end of the year for our third wave. So that's the one that's seems to be working most ideally right now, but we do still have that opportunity to get those extreme targets. I'm just being as reasonable as possible. I'm expecting a wave 2 to that 20 cent mark, and our wave 3 within this degree up to around 73, 74 cents. And then as long as we're following that path, we'll reevaluate from there for our targeting. If anything changes, I will be sure to update that, but just looking for this wave 2 to continue. Again, it can come down lower, or we can make a more sideways correction out in time. All right, guys, so we'll talk about the membership here if you are interested. I have my private Discord now up and running. I just did a market update video today. You can see that's there. I had to mark out the link there as it's an unlisted video. But what you can expect is I cover 10 assets on a regular basis here in chart form or in video form. Usually I do a Bitcoin video 3 to 5 times a week, a market update video 3 to 5 times a week. If it's not needed, I'll update the charts. There's also a weekend alt request video, which is starting now, and I picked the best 10 from there to give you your requests. As well, in the membership, you can see that Blowfin exclusive. And what that does is it allows you to get 20% rake back. So of all your trading fees, you get 20% deposited back into your account every time you open it or close a trade for life, whether you're a member of the Discord or not. And the link is in that Discord. There's also a special deposit bonus, futures deposit bonus, 15% deposit bonus. You can read the details there below. And there's an extra added bonus. Now, as for the membership, this is the sign up page you see. There will be a spot to put in your discount code, and the discount is 50% off your first month. So first month of the Discord, you get 50% off. Under that pay button, you just enter the coupon code CW50, and you will have access right away to that 20% rebate on your trading fees, as well as all the information that is updated. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.